All right, in this video lesson, we will be solving quadratic equations, but specifically we will be using square roots. All right, now let's remember when we talk about solving quadratic equations, we're looking for the point where the graph, which is a U shape, when we're looking at a quadratics, we're looking at where it intersects the x-axis. So sometimes, as you have already seen, we have two solutions because the U shape intersects the x-axis twice, okay? Now, we're also going to learn there's possibly there's only one solution or there's actually no solution. But I just want to remind you, when we're talking about solving a quadratic, we're oftentimes going to find two answers, such as in today's lesson where we're using square roots. Okay, and also just a quick review about square roots. I know that you know a lot about square roots, but I want to remind you that 6 squared, we know, equals 36. Well, what is also true is that if we take the square root of 6 squared, then that equals the square root of 6. Okay, well, basically what I'm saying is if we have 6 squared, it would be the square root of that. That would be 6 times 6, so the square root of that is 6. And then, of course, the square root of 36 is 6, okay? And the reason I'm showing you that is because what is also true is if we have x squared equals 16, then we know that the square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 16. Therefore, x equals 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. However, it's actually not just 4. It's actually 4 or negative 4, because negative 4 also, when you multiply negative 4 times negative 4, you also get positive 16. So the square root of 16 could be 4 or negative 4. All right, that's just a quick review. Let's take a look at some problems for today's assignment or today's lesson. All right, so here we're going to be solving the following quadratic equation for all values of x in simplest form. So you're given an equation, looks something like this. We have 2, and then in parentheses, x squared minus 8 minus 4 equals negative 8. Okay, so with this x squared inside the parentheses, we're going to multiply, we're going to distribute this 2 on the outside. That's the first thing that we're going to do, okay? So when we do that, we have 2x squared minus 16 minus 4 equals 8, or negative 8, okay? We need to continue working this where we're going to combine our like terms, all right? So we have a negative 16 and a negative 4. We could go ahead and combine that. Let's see. So then our equation would say 2x squared minus 20 equals negative 8. Now we have been putting our equations in the standard form for the quadratic, the standard quadratic equation or function ax squared plus bx plus c. But in this lesson, we're going to learn to use square roots. So we're actually going to get our constants together on the other side. So if we want to solve for x here, for x squared, we're going to isolate that. So we're going to remove this negative 20 by adding 20, and then also adding 20 to the right side. So let's just continue working here. So we will add 20 to the left side, because that cancels, but we have to add 20 over here. So now our equation says 2x squared equals, and then negative 8 plus 20 is it's positive 12. So now, again, we have x squared that we're trying to solve. We're going to solve for x. It's being multiplied by 2. So the opposite of multiplying by 2 will be to divide by 2. So we'll just keep working this out. Now it says x squared, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So x squared equals 12 divided by 2 is 6. So if we know that x squared equals 6, then what we can then do is take the square root of x squared, which is x, and we also have to take the square root of 6. So again, the square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 6. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. Remember, we include this minus because a negative times a negative also equals a positive. So the solutions for x in this one is plus or minus 6, or plus or negative square root of 6. Okay, this will be our last example for this video lesson. Here we have the equation, and again, we're solving for all the values for x. So 3 times 2x squared, or 2x plus 6, all of that squared, minus 35 equals negative 5. And again, I know that we've been working with the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and we set it equal to 0. However, in this lesson, we are using square roots. All right, so let me show you how we're going to solve this one. All right. The first thing we're going to want to do in this one is actually get rid of this minus 35, okay? We're going to get rid of the minus 35 by doing the opposite, which is to add 35, okay? So we'll start by adding 35 to both sides. So plus 35 and plus 35. Our equation is now going to read 3 times 2x plus 6 all squared equals, let's see, negative 5 plus 35 is 30. Okay. Now, notice that we have a couple things going on here. This 2x plus 6 in parentheses is being squared. All right. However, this 2x plus 6 inside this parentheses is also being multiplied times 3. Now, the inverse of multiplying times 3 is to divide by 3. So that's what we're going to do in this example. We're going to divide this side by 3. Now, the reason we would do that, if we divide this side by 3, then again, if you start with something and you multiply times 3 and then you divide by 3, you're right back to the something. Okay, so basically, if this is multiplied by 3 and then it's divided by 3, those 3's end up canceling each other out. And you're left with 2x plus 6 in parentheses squared. And then on the right side, we also had to divide by 3. And 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay, so this is our new equation so far. 2x plus 6 all squared equals 10. Okay, so when we're working with an equation and the left side is something squared equals something, then we can do the opposite of squaring, which is to take the square root. All right, so in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to take the square root of 2x plus 6 squared equals 10. We're going to take the square root of both sides. All right. Well, inside here, if 2x plus 6 squared, that's the same as saying 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 6. Well, remember, if you're simplifying and you end up with a number times itself, or this expression times itself, then one of those comes out. All I'm trying to say is that the square root of 2x plus 6 squared is 2x plus 6 equals, on the right side, the square root of 10 cannot be simplified. So we're going to call that plus or minus the square root of 10. Because remember, a square root of a number has two answers, the positive and the negative. However, we're not finished here. We're still trying to solve for x. So 2x plus 6, we need to get rid of this plus 6. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay. Subtract 6 from both sides. But the way this is going to look, these end up canceling. But now it says 2x equals, and we're not really subtracting 6 from this number. Okay, we're going to write it as negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 10. Okay, well, now we can continue working. Because we're not solving for 2x, we're trying to solve for x. Well, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. So we're going to divide this side by 2, and we're going to divide this side by 2. All right. Our final answer is going to be x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 10 all divided by 2. And that is it.